Hi, my name is Gibran, and welcome to Unlisted. We've been having wonderful conversations with Sam. Sam, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, Jabran.
I hope you're enjoying yourself as much as we are, or at least I am.
I am, but it's sometimes difficult for me to communicate in a way which is sensible.
I know,
Uh, you
I
know,
I can completely understand. Okay, guys, we've been talking about a big question. Are we creating our own universe, or are we co-creators of the universe? What's our participation as human beings? What is our role? And in order to understand these bigger questions, Sam has been kind enough to break down certain things. And also, we've been talking about the chakras primarily and why this, as I mentioned in part one of this topic, is that this is merely a language, a primary information that you need to know in order to resonate with what we're talking about, or it helps you unfold things in a very different way. It's a language which may sound a little unusual, but it has its own practicality too. And in continuation, I'll just tell you, Sam has already talked about the first and the second chakra, starting from lower, going ascending upwards, which is the earth and the water chakra. And you can watch our
that's right.
part one, the episode one for this. It's already available on YouTube on Unlisted Talks. And Sam, I think I'll let you take from here and take us through the rest of them, because once you complete all of the seven, then think we'll have a way more understanding, a holistic understanding of not only the chakras but also what they represent and how to look at things in a different way. Opens up our perspectives. So over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jabran. They're not just language, but if we understand the chakras, they eventually become tools for manipulating our realities and how we feel and how we act and behave. So it's
True.
slightly more than a language, I think. So I was telling you about the earth chakra, that if we keep the earth chakra on the physical earth, the mother, then we get some kind of nourishment from the earth. I forgot to tell you that the nourishment for the water chakra
Hmm.
is water. We have to drink water, but a particular kind of water. We have to
That's
drink
interesting.
water which is coming straight out of nature. Because water holds memory, when we drink spring water and it is coming from, the rain, the melted snows, the streams, um, it has a different memory. It is encountering organic things. It is so, as opposed to when we drink polluted, dirty water, which is coming out of plastic pipes which are caked in mold,
Hmm.
that water gives us another memory and eventually creates another identity for us. So, pure, nice, healthy spring water is what is required by the water chakra. So now we jump above that to the sun chakra, right? And
Okay.
as you had a diagram of the chakras, and this would be the
Hmm.
uh, yellow dot.
Correct.
And so the sun chakra is right below the ribs, above the navel, and it represents the fire element. And fire has both heat and light, right? So this chakra represents our actual identity. The identity, so identity has two components. It has the fire and the light part, right? So when we look at the universe, imagine we are in a pitch dark room and our own light is going to illuminate only a part of it and only the objects we are interested in. So our identity determines what will come into sight. So that's one aspect of the identity part. And the fire part is our zest, our zeal for life. How do we cope with life? Can we digest it? So this chakra So there are varying arguments as to what is the master organ for this chakra. Some people think it is the liver, but I tend to believe perhaps it's the pancreas. All the other digestive organs, the stomach, the liver, the spleen, are also part of this chakra. Um, so, our ability to digest what is happening to us in life is directly proportional to our ability to digest food. They are clues to each other. They give us ideas about our condition. So if we are constipated, then we're holding back in life. And if we have an upset stomach or diarrhea, then we're just letting go of things too rapidly. Um, the fire, the temperature part, shows intensity. How passionate are we about a particular thing? Um, so, both the elements of light and fire are much more abstract than water and solid matter, which is the earth chakra. So, we are headed upwards into abstraction now. Uh, the human is partly abstract and partly visible. Both are equally important. The entire spectrum creates the human. So, okay, like I said, every chakra has an order and a disorder.
Right.
In this in this particular one, Gibran, either we think we are worthy of being the center of the universe, or we are nothing. These are the two disorders. So scientists who are looking at the Big Bang theory and think the planet is a tiny particle in a huge, humongous universe and it's meaningless, actually think they are not worthy. And the problem with the human reality or our ability to create reality is that our identity will end up creating your reality. You will experience what you think your identity is. And if you think, like many spiritual people do, that you are at the center of the universe, you will end up experiencing the power of that. How's that, Gibran?
Wow. So we actually manifest, or we are the tools for manifestation through these chakras, or these chakras are the medium of reading.
That's right. Of observation and creation, co-creation. We'll come once we've covered all the chakras, then we will talk about whether we are creating the universe or are we just participating in it. But it is not independent of us, right? That's pretty
Right.
clear. So the sun chakra requires its own supernatural food, or not necessarily supernatural, but it has its own diet other than food and water. The sun chakra requires sunbathing. I mean, compulsory. Without sunbathing, our identity is, it's shaken up. So people who suffer from vitamin D deficiencies, which are very common all over the world right now, are also insecure about who they are or their worthiness. So exposure to sunlight is very important. And I think also a campfire once in a while is very, very important. Somehow that has a cleansing effect on our psyche and our personality. Um, so that's really the fuel for the fire chakra. So let's go back to our original carbon example. Mm, we are looking at a table. We were looking at a wooden table in that original example. And in the uh, earth chakra, that table was just a pile of carbon. But
Right.
in the water chakra, you had emotional memory attached to it. It becomes a useful, beautiful table, artistically created. And now, finally, in this chakra, in this fire chakra, it becomes my table, and my table becomes more important than anybody else's table. or it becomes my grandmother's table, and so that material starts transforming into the psychological and the spiritual and the emotional, and that's how we build our reality, and that's how the universe is constructed. um, so traveling further up, we come
Up
to the center of
one,
sorry.
if I am allowed to ask you here, because this is very
Of
important to
course.
differentiate between the chakras and how they're distinct and different characteristics they carry or represent. Now, the this fire chakra, it seems like that your real identity is built around when you enter into the fire chakra. Because the identity has its own components. One could be your physical material being, which how you look, uh, and what the appearance is, and then there is a psychological part which kicks in, and a social angle also that kicks in, where you said that my table, that's what you were referring to. Is it correct that this is where the
Yes.
identity gets built up?
Yes, this is where the identity of things starts building up. My race, my table, my family, as opposed to just people. Uh, yes, this is where the universe starts getting very personal. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Gibran, we'll have to come back to these chakras briefly in the future
Of
once we
course.
have made our connection all the way up, because there is information traveling up the chakras and coming down the chakras. So that we'll have to deal with once we understand all of them.
So you're
Yeah.
essentially saying that they have a
So
correlation, that one chakra is connected to the other, or this is how it transcends uh, in a certain procedure or a way.
so the language used to describe chakras is that they are energy vortexes which are opening out of our body, and people, when people are talking about going up and down chakras, they use the word portals, literally, that we are traveling from one universe to another universe. So there is the physical universe, the emotional universe, the universe of identity, and different powers exist in different chakras. Different creatures are limited by the number of chakras that they have. Sometimes we can't see them because they are very subtle creatures. So the classic example for the fire chakra creatures is called the jinn in Arabic language,
Right.
and so they end at the fire chakra and are so curious about the water chakras emotions and the earth chakras physicality. um, that's why when jinns possess people, people normally experience erratic emotions. They act like schizophrenic people. They get obsessed with sex and drugs and violence, and the jinns really want to experience fear, so they make you do crazy things when they possess you. They are always pushing you over the edge so they can finally experience fear through your experience. um
I was
so
going to say
like I
something
said,
really strange and bizarre, but I don't know. Humans have
please.
anger, okay?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
anger's outburst can somewhat be around the lines of possession, or once somebody is
Yes.
possessed, they behave with that anger too, because anger inevitably becomes a part of their expression, whether it's combined with fear or whatever it is. So humans, in this container of ours, or with this 7 chakras of ours, we have the ability to feel and do what we do during possession, and I'm specifically referring to anger.
Anger can come from both possession as well as your own imbalanced fire chakra. Anger is an emotion of the liver. So when your liver is not doing well, yes, you can experience anger. And yes, when you're possessed, you can have bouts of anger. So spiritually, in almost all, well, I think in all of the spiritual traditions, anger is totally forbidden, and we are warned against anger, that it will create an imbalance in the universe, your universe, and those around you. Which leads to another interesting aspect of the fire chakra. When you become suicidal, or when you say things like, I wish I wasn't born, and you really mean it, and I wish I would not exist anymore, then the fire chakra portals open, or the vortex opens, and it becomes a doorway for a jinn or
Oh
another
man.
creature to enter. Because you yourself have diminished your personal identity, um, to the point where there is a vacuum being created within the balance, and other creatures talk to the universe or tell the divine that, look, this guy or this person does not want to be here, can we have a go at their body? And so this is leading us back to the creation and co-creation part. We knowingly or unknowingly participate in opening the doorway to possession. Um,
You
so
you'll be surprised. I was just going to ask you this question because it kind of led conversation back into the element of the unseen world, the jinns, and then we were talking about possession earlier. I know it's not this topic today, but it really is so interesting because the fire chakra is the point where the jinns are limited to, and that's the first common chakra humans and the spirits have, or the jinns have.
that's right. That's
and
right.
the and that's exactly the doorway or the entry or point of possession. And I was going through some
A-
texts
And the
earlier.
battleground. And the battleground,
And the
right?
battleground. So a lot of religious scriptures indicate, or certain traditions indicate, how it is forbidden to be angry, or actually not forbidden, but it's so um, told to keep anger in control. And
Yes.
so primarily you're stating that the reason is that it opens the doorway for possession, or one of the things that it does.
Yes, it can. And also this idea, the lack of self-worth more than anger. And we are normally angry when we think we are not worthy, right? So if I think I am at the center of the universe and I'm a worthy creature, why would I be angry then, right? It's only when I compromise my own self-worth, that I start experiencing anger, or if I'm confused about it. So yes, that's one way of.
Do take me through this thing, since you mentioned that um, self worthiness, anger, and this chakra is connected with the liver, or the liver is the organ that it affects.
Or the
Alcohol,
pancreas.
or the
Or the
pancreas, correct.
pancreas. Yes.
Consumption of alcohol, how do you connect and
Hmm.
associate it with that? Because I remember you telling me once the word in Arabic is jinn.
Well, alcohol, even in English, is called spirits.
Ah.
And so spirits are like jinns, right? So yes, they are a portal, and yes, they are, they seem to be interconnected. And when you drink alcohol, your liver starts transforming. It starts experiencing anger, whether you express it or whether you don't express it. If you compare the liver of somebody who's always angry with somebody who drinks a lot of alcohol, their physical diseases or transformations are very, very similar. So, yes, there seems to be a connection there, Gibran. And
Right.
uh, I forgot to mention something else also. So the fire of your worthiness, if it's too much, if you think I am God, I'm worthy, but I'm God, right? If you don't accept it as a given from the universe, it's a gift from the universe. You had nothing to do with its creation. But if you become proud and you lose your humility, then the fire becomes a raging fire and starts engulfing everything around you. It starts burning you internally and everybody around you. And if you develop a complex that, oh, I'm nothing, I'm nobody, I'm so weak, I don't want to live, and then again, the fire really diminishes. And then you can't digest life, you can't digest food, you become weak. So once again, we are doing this, and we have the power to influence the universe. So back to that question, are we creating our reality, or are we just co-creating it? um, I think we are co-creating it, because we're not creating the system, right? The system of cause and effect. But we are fully participating in it, whether we want to or we don't want to, whether we
So there
like
are
it
there
or
are
we don't
certain
like
laws, there are certain global universal laws in place. We can play the game within that framework only.
it. Yes, there are limitations, and yet once you start playing the game, you have a feeling of limitlessness. So they're both. So the human is composed of contradictions and opposites. And I think there are people I've heard of, Gibran, who transcend the laws and the limitations
True.
eventually. But
True.
since I'm not one of them, I don't think I'm really qualified to talk about them. We call
I
them saints or gurus, yeah,
Oh, I just want to take you
or
back for a
shamans.
moment.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to take you back for a moment.
Yes.
Earlier, we were talking about the fire, anger, self worth, or worth being feeling worthlessness. Human ego is one of the most talked about things or most concerned things. And ego does seem to play somewhat a similar role, or it's the face of the same role. Do you believe?
Thank you for reminding us. Yes. This is the perhaps this is the place of the ego, right? This is the ego chakra. I agree with you. The ego is our false identity, the identity which is not close to the truth is the ego, and it's a function of the fire chakra for sure. But then I use the word ego for something else also, Gibran. When and now this is not for normal everyday people or their problems, but the second we separate ourselves from the universe and have any kind of identity. For example, I'm Salman Malik. I'm a male. So here I am. That is the starting point of the ego. Um, but that's for another time, right? This conversation is
Yeah.
for another time.
Yeah.
We can't function without self identity, yet, self identity is inevitably a part of our ego.
So there is a
In,
fine balance that we need to keep in order to stay in that harmonious system.
That's right. That's right. So, man was not made to be an angel or a devil. Neither. Both extremes are not going to help man live his or her life on this planet. Man is a creature of something in between. So the ego is harmful yet necessary, right? Your identity may be false, but can open the doorway to truths for you. So there's going to be dichotomy consistently. Uh, and people who work really hard to be really, really good, it won't work. we are creatures in the gray zone. We need to be good enough to keep our chakras open and have a good time. But we, that's it. The bad or the shadow world or the darkness within us will always remain. So some people say that we have to befriend our own darkness and convince it to play our game, right?
Wow.
Um, yeah,
That's a
yeah.
bigger victory.
So yes, it is. It is. So the darkness is not going to disappear and will not turn into light, but we have to convince it lovingly to play on our side, and that's another
What it
thing
tells me
for
is
you to think
about
about.
the element of self awareness to a point that you're able to not only recognize your own darkness but be able to control it, or if not control, influence it in a way to play your game,
Yes,
to be
influence.
on your side.
Yes,
This
that's right.
is this
That's
is
right.
by far more interesting. And you know what, Sam? Actually, I know you wanted to talk more about the chakras and proceed further with the fourth, fifth one, but I think this has somewhat kind of enriched the conversation within the fire chakras ambit, and I think we should keep it to this fire chakra for this episode, because I do have a couple of more questions, and I somehow can't wait actually to for you to finish all the chakras.
Okay, okay, fair enough. But I would like to add something here, for our future conversation. So if you take water, I'm talking about, the stuff which is on Earth, not the water element, and you give it some fire, it turns into
Ooh.
steam. And if you remove some fire, it turns into ice. So it becomes a solid, a liquid, or a gas, depending upon how much fire it is receiving. So just keep that in mind when we talk about things in the future and how creation is happening, passing through us.
You've actually given this example to literally draw the connection between each prior and the former chakra, and
That's right.
how they interconnect in order to create the transcendence or descendants or whatever combination you want to make out of it. So these chakras are not
That's right.
in isolation, you actually trying to say. This is not only a cross
Yes,
connection.
they are one continuum. They're one continuum.
So no wonder that's one of the analogies given is they're cogwheels in the whole system. One breaks or slows down, it impairs or affects the whole system.
Oh, the whole system. Your universe is shaken. Yes.
Right. Um, I know this might be a premature question to ask, but it did raise and it kind of kept coming back to my mind. And I should have actually ideally asked this question towards the end once you're done with all the 7 chakras, but I'm going to give you an example of a newborn infant. And if we come to realize from the point of consciousness, it's born with the first chakra, which is activated. I may use the wrong words or the terms, and you do correct me, but I think you'll get the picture. Over time, the second and the third chakra will come into play. It doesn't eat. It has it stays on breast milk or breastfed. Its systems are being built. Chakras, are they all activated slowly,
Very interesting.
or they get activated over time as he gets nourishment, matures, age? Fire chakra will that be activated from the get go? Children do not have the kind of anger at a very early infantry age, but it comes very quickly. I also know that they start showing their anger signs
Comes
too,
it.
and then so on and so forth. So take me through this idea.
Okay. All right. So this idea of when a child is born, what he and she, in terms of chakras and all the things that you talked about, a lot of it is already there. The minute the baby forms, it borrows from its mother's memory. So there has been generational exchange between us. So we carry generational emotions, generational memories, and generational attitudes. I do not call it genetics because we can alter a lot of this stuff. But a baby, when they are born, are not a blank slate. It's not a blank sheet of paper.
Right.
There is already information encoded into the child in terms of each chakra. And a baby is born with all chakras. A healthy baby has all chakras, and they're all at their peak. And then slowly the baby starts experiencing distortion. Some chakras get weaker, and as life progresses. And something interesting, Jabran, that women experience this a little further than men. And when a female embryo is born or created in the womb, it already carries the eggs for the babies it will potentially have in the future. So there is a greater, that means a grandmother and a grandchild who's unborn have a strong connection through their biology, stronger than perhaps what men experience.
Wow.
So, yeah, yes.
Sam, this is just mind-blowing stuff. It's quite fascinating, but it also launches so many questions, and not only questions, it gives you newer ideas to ponder upon. And I think you've done just that. You've kind of, I know it's the tip of the iceberg for what you've shared with us, but believe me, this is so important, and it's so refreshing in a way. So thank you for doing that.
It's another take on the universe, right? And you're right, it's refreshing. It can reboot you, it can re-energize you.
Well, Sam,
You're most welcome, Gibran.
I think it was a pleasure to have you here and to talk about the fire chakra, and we definitely will continue for the rest of the chakras as well. I know you're a busy man, and we keep bothering you in today has just been a little too much. But I really hope you have a great weekend up ahead. And
you too, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you for your time. And we will definitely do more parts of this topic as well. For those of you who haven't subscribed, please do so. Also click that bell icon, it helps. It gives you a notification that we are live. And please do mention in your comments for whatever topics you would want us to discuss. As I mentioned earlier, there's also a community tab on the Unlisted Talks page on YouTube. You can mention it there, it's better. Sam, thank you once again so very much, and hope to catch up with you very soon.
Will do. Looking forward to it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye-bye.